Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben, and I am back this week. I had a week off last week, but I'm here with Brian Dillon to talk about episode number 9 of Survivor 50, the Jimmy Fallon episode, I guess. We had two separate potential twists here that Jimmy Fallon was given credit for that we'll have to talk about here today. And, we have presumably our last celebrity-endorsed twist happening next week, so we're almost through the celebrity advertisement section of the season.
Yes. As if Jimmy Fallon, the fall from grace for Jimmy Fallon couldn't continue to plummet even further after last night's episode. Obviously the blame goes to production, not Jimmy Fallon himself. I think when you enable a maniac like Jimmy Fallon to do things like this, it falls more on the enablers than it does the enabled. So production's out of hand. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'm just very excited to have to explain to my dad who Mr. Beast is next episode.
Yeah.
It's like, been looking forward to that all season.
Yeah.
Some people like him. Some people say he's the Antichrist. Who's to say?
Well, there's a new lawsuit that just came out against him, so... Yeah, not a great
That's
timing.
bad timing for Survivor.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, I guess do we want to at the very least go through these kind of two twists before we actually talk about the episode on whole? Because I actually really liked the Jeff playing the challenge part of this episode. And when I thought that was going to be Jimmy Fallon's only impact on the game, I was actually like, wow, finally one of these celebrity twists actually feels like it improved the quality of the product. It's silly for me to believe such a stupid thing.
Yeah, I was like, man, Jimmy Fallon, he gets it. He understands what a fun moment is versus a bad moment, but maybe not.
So the actual Jeff competing, I also like that. I thought that was fun. I think that is a fun twist to include into the game, that Jeff is essentially competing against the others for Rice. I'm all for that. I think Jeff's fun. I think Jeff is allowed to have a little bit of fun here and there for what he has given us over the past 20 years, 50 seasons of entertainment with Survivor. So I didn't mind it. I liked it too. I think that's cool, competing for Rice in that fashion, kind of having Jeff going against them. And it gives Jeff a little taste of his own medicine too with these games. Thought that was great. Everything Jimmy Fallon related, everything related to the kneecapping of Christian, I am not a big fan of.
Yeah, that was a rare, kind of humanizing moment for Jeff, who is usually kind of he kind of feels like he's performing a lot of the time. And this kind of felt like he was actually, reacting and operating in more of a natural capacity than he usually does. So I thought that part was fun. I thought the montage they did of him shitting on players in the history of Survivor was fun. I thought that the current players on season 50 razzing him as he was suffering during the challenge was fun, and a little bit of a getting what I've given type situation. Yeah, it was fun. It had I think they should just be given Rice. So, them kind of manufacturing essentially a fun moment that can allow them to be given Rice while creating a cool, cute little scene. I'm cool with that. It didn't impact the game in any way meaningful. Obviously, they saved the part of the twist that impacted the game in a meaningful capacity for the second half.
Yeah, when it comes to celebrating the 50 season, stuff like this is cool to see. Stuff that we haven't seen before, things that, like you said, don't really impact the game, but add just a different element of fun to kind of... It is a celebration. These people are also playing a game for what we think will end up being $1 million, and they're playing to become... Some of these people who have been playing Survivors their entire adult lifehood, who are now trying to get their very first win. It's obviously very real to them. They've been out there still. I forget how many days it's been, but regardless of what you say of how tough new Survivor is, they're still out there doing it. So I think times like these are fun, where it's not impacting the game. For the viewer, I think it's cool to see Jeff. It's like it creates a fun little clip that we can use moving forward. I think that's great. What I don't understand is why production insists to keep. Well, not only do we have a player lose a vote in this episode, we had a player lose his vote and then be forced to take that vote to vote for themselves, which we have talked about the one guarantee that should always be in Survivor is that you should have your vote. You should be able to use your vote no matter what. And the fact that was not the case here, this deep in the game for a player like Christian it's very frustrating. I don't believe these were the stakes that Rachel had. I don't remember the stakes Rachel had in her season with this.
I think it was just a normal losing a vote.
So still not good. But the fact that Christian had to vote against himself and really given no other option to go around this is just like it's gross. I think it really ruins the game. It really does. I hate it. I think you need to trust your cast to deliver, and this is kind of like completely taking that away from them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a broken record. I hate when players lose their votes. It sucks. It's stupid, but it's new era Survivor. I am surprised that on a season where they're all-stars and some of like the most legendary players ever, that they're still not trusting their cast to deliver. It's like, come on. I don't know. It's just like the initial twist, like if Christian won, okay, it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. And I'm not saying like Christian wouldn't have gone home anyways. I think there's a really good chance that he would have, especially because he was targeting Ozzy and Cerie's, not one to be messed with when you're targeting your allies. But like, it just puts someone in such a hole. You got to like come to the whole tribe and be like, yeah, I have to vote for myself tonight. It's insane.
Yeah, again, going through the season and then also like historically in the new era, both of the players this season, earlier in the season, who lost their votes went home in the tribal where they couldn't vote. Here, not only does Christian lose his vote, he gets a vote cast against him, and probably the worst part of it is he is forced via the game mechanics to announce this to everybody. Like, at least when other people lose their votes, they can hypothetically lie about it and say that they didn't lose their vote. Something that, like, for instance, Stephanie, right? Like, Stephanie told a lie about what happened on her journey where she gets an extra vote, but, she lies and is like, if I drop out before a half hour, I lose my vote. If I make it to a half hour, I keep my vote. If I make it to an hour, I get an advantage. And then she lied and said that she dropped out in the, 30 to 60 minute range so that she was able to keep her vote, right? Like, when you normally lose your vote, you get that opportunity. Like, Survivor is a game about social deception at the fundamental level. So, like, creating a twist that screws you over and doesn't give you the opportunity to lie as a defense mechanism for having been screwed over by the game mechanic means that there's nowhere to play. There's no, like, you're giving the players no opportunity to play with the, like, pieces that you're giving them, which is, like, kind of a fundamental criticism that I think all of us have had about a lot of the twists that Survivor has done recently, losing your vote as being part of it. Where, like, if you don't give the players the opportunity to, like, make decisions or play the game or, like, have options available to them to decide whether to do the, thing A or thing B, and maybe thing A is good for them and thing B is bad for them, but they got to figure that out. Like, that's the intriguing part of the game. And if you don't give them the opportunity to make a mistake because you've taken away their agency, then it just feels like people are being eliminated at random.
Somebody else brought up a great point too in one of the comment sections. I don't remember if it was Reddit or where else it was, or if it was TikTok, of this also completely takes away the conversation around Christian's game, because and I think it kind of dwarfs I think the mistakes that Emily Devins and Christian alliance has made. And I think tonight the main reason Christian went home overall was probably him and his alliance's actions.
Yep.
But I do think this twist has completely, like you said, it negated any sort of strategic ability Christian was going to be able to have from this point forward, because he can't swing that he has an extra vote. He can't swing that he has any vote at all. He can't, play like he has any sort of advantage coming home from that. It's just like, hey, I have to vote against myself. By the way, half of you were already planning to vote for me anyway. So, like, I guess I'm just going home. That's dumb. It's dumb. And I think that a player of Christian's prestige, even though we've talked about the errors he's made from the beginning of the season when he was in a great spot to now, it really is ridiculous. I don't get it. And I think like when you say it's a celebration of 50 seasons of Survivor, and then you're doing this stuff, and we still have Mr. Beast to get to next week. It's very tight. It's not ruining the season, but it is kind of like I feel like we should be talking much more about this season than we are right now in terms of how good it is. But when you have stuff like the Zach Brown stuff, which didn't really bother me that much, but it obviously bothered a lot of other people. We have the Billie Irish Blue Ring idol, who pretty much kind of like Genevieve, who found 2 different idols, was never even to use one of them, kind of just completely kneecapped her in that way. And then Christian, who found an idol, wasn't able to use it. It's just, and like none of it has been used in a good way that has been entertaining. And now you have this of losing a vote, then being forced to take that vote and vote for yourself. And then you have to go back and announce to everybody that you are voting for yourself and that you're pretty much going home. It's just stupid. It's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Don't get it. It's like you said, we've talked about it now for 4, 5, 6 different seasons at this point, since it kind of became pretty clear that this was their goal, was to keep introducing these twists. So I don't know. It sucks. And we should be talking about how great Cerie's playing. We should be talking about how great Ozzy's playing. We should be talking about how great Rizzo's playing. We can even be maybe might be talking about how good I think Jonathan's playing to this point. But today, like we're going to be talking about is this twist and how screwed over Christian was, and like that it sucks. And the fact that we are this close to the end, we know that something else is going to have to give with these numbers, with how many episodes we left and how many people are left. And like, this is what they're doing. And like, it wasn't even we eliminated multiple people tonight. There's one person that was taken out, and we spent way too much time focused on that. It's very, very, very unfortunate.
Yeah. Sucks. But there was some good stuff in this episode. Still, I don't want to, take it completely away from it. I thought Ozzy was very fun this episode. I think this is the best version of Ozzy we've ever gotten, far and away.
By far, yeah.
He's very self-aware now. He's shown how much he's learned over the years of, being perceived by the public and his shortcomings. He had great confessionals about Christian losing his vote. Like, I was all in on Ozzy, and like, as we're getting down to it, and it feels like it's going to be one of Cirie, Ozzy, and Rizzo winning this game. Like, that's very exciting to me, because I've always been someone who likes Ozzy, but this is the best version of him.
I shook my head a little bit because I don't know if Ozzy's fully kind of self-aware at this point, but I agree. I've liked Ozzy this season. I think that he's becoming like his like old man Ozzy storyline at this point, where he kind of like, now he just doesn't care. Now he's kind of playing into who Ozzy has been this whole time. There's none of this Oscar stuff, or maybe this is Oscar and it's been like, he's no longer trying to be Ozzy, who's maybe someone different. I don't know. I've enjoyed Ozzy a lot though. And I think if I'm Ozzy too, I'm pissed at Christian. I'm pissed at Emily. Like, I don't care that their game is completely falling apart. This is now the second time that Christian has tried to throw me under the bus, and Emily has kind of completely betrayed me at this point. So yeah, I like Ozzy. I assume all three of us put him at the bottom of that list of 3 that we just named to have the best chance of winning this game. But
he's number 2 for me. I think he's over Rizzo.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually like moving towards him being my number 1. I think he's playing the third best of the 3, but I think that right now I am leaning towards him being the person I think is going to win the season.
Interesting. Okay, so my spot really from last week and pretty much the week before that has not changed for Ozzy, where I think that he's the third of that group by far, I think, removed for who's playing the best game. I guess in terms of who's
I
playing
agree
the
with
best.
that. I agree with
So,
that.
yeah.
I think Suri Rizzo Ozzy is the order for who's playing the best game, but I think that Ozzy is the likely winner.
So I guess, yeah. So that that side of it was what I was just about to say. I guess in terms of if you think that he's going to win when you're looking at it through kind of like an analytical lens and all that, I understand that. I still like Suri much more than him. I can understand the argument with Rizzo or Ozzy over Rizzo, but I think I still like Suri much more over him. I mean, we saw in this episode, I think everything is playing out pretty much how I thought that Suri and Rizzo and Ozzy would have to play it out, where we took out Coach and Chrissy last vote. We have kind of completely disassembled that alliance. And then now we need to take out Devins, who has painted a huge target on his back, which to kind of quickly sidetrack to Devins, because I don't want to forget the Devins part. I think anybody saying that what Devins did last week was a mistake is wrong, because I think that Devins was assumed he was going home, which I think it's been pretty much made clear that it seemed like Coach and Chrissy were the targets going into that. But I think in Devins' mind, and I'm not a big Devins guy, so but I will come to bat for him here. I think what he did, what he thought what he was doing to save his game, and I think that you can't fault him in that. And the fact that it's painted a bigger target on his back when he was already had a target for people to want to vote him out, even if it mainly had to do with him being paired with Aubrey. I think that that's kind of a dumb argument. I think that the mistakes that their alliances have made up to that point is the reason they're in this position. I think him having that idol now, and nobody really people kind of suspecting maybe it's BS, or maybe that he's not what he's saying it is. Like, he still is able to use that to his advantage to this point. Will people eventually probably call his bluff and he'll be voted out for it? Sure. But I think that he did everything he needed to stay in that game. And I think critiquing that, saying he put a bigger target on his back is dumb. Does it screw over Christian and Emily in some sense? Yes. But once again, this is an individual game. This is not a team game in the end.
Yeah.
I think it definitely got him through this vote, because I think otherwise there was a good chance he was going. And I think it's kind of become a thing, and we see this on Big Brother a lot, where it's like, I want this person out, and now any action that person does is horrible, and I'm going to use it as a reason for why I'm targeting them. They want Rick out, and his performance was a way for them to be see, I told you, he's awful. You gotta get him out of here.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think that I'll take kind of a different tact here. I think that the bigger bad reason as to why Rick's play is going to end up being a net negative is because it allowed Suri, Rizzo, and Ozzy to have cover ran for them for this move to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, and we see this, and this will also kind of, be a part of my criticism of Jonathan as a player here, and why I don't think that he has any chance of winning the season, because Jonathan is coming out of this vote in particular, and Stephanie to a lesser degree, but Jonathan in particular, with the idea that the vote flipped at tribal council because of what Devins pulled, and that Chrissy and Coach would have otherwise not gone home. It's just that people panicked because of the idol pull. And that kind of allows Jonathan to continue to think that he has some sort of social strategic control of the game, and it's just that he lost temporarily control of the game in this moment because of Devins' antics. That created basically a smokescreen that allows the Suri, Rizzo, Ozzy alliance to continue to go undetected, to continue to not take any heat for being the ones that actually drove this vote against Coach and Chrissy. If Devins doesn't make that play at tribal council and just kind of plays it cool, doesn't grab the idol, doesn't make a scene, and Coach and Chrissy still go home 10-2 or whatever, now Jonathan, Stephanie, probably not Joe, because Joe is giving the heads up, but Jonathan and Stephanie at the very least are coming back to camp knowing that they are in the minority, they're being played, and that that Suri and Ozzy in particular are the ones that are playing them. And that entire dynamic is completely different.
So when I say I think Jonathan is in like the fourth best spot to win, a lot of that hinges on him having to outmaneuver Suri, Rizzo, and Ozzy, obviously. So that's kind of like where I come from. I think you make a lot of good point too, of like the smoke screen kind of further blinding everybody from Suri, Ozzy, and Rizzo. That's obviously why Suri, Ozzy, and Rizzo are playing so well, is because even to this point, they should be completely detected and they're not. And that was, I'll kind of get back to where I was going with that before I kind of went on the path of talking about Devins. But I think a lot of what I say about Jonathan is that I think that Jonathan, for me, the way he's played to this point, I think that if he would win, it would have to be because he eventually is the one that beat Suri and Ozzy and Rizzo. So I'm going off of that because I don't think that when I say that I think Jonathan is in the fourth best spot to win, I don't think that you can get to a final tribal of Suri and Ozzy or Suri and Rizzo or Rizzo and Ozzy and Jonathan's going to win. I don't think that's the case. I think if you get to a final tribal of where you have maybe Joe and Steph or Joe and Tiffany and Jonathan, or Jonathan, Tiffany, and Steph, like that's the kind of numbers, or maybe even Emily, which I don't think that Emily would even want to go to final tribal with Jonathan anyway. Like that's the scenario I think, and so a lot of that hinges on Jonathan kind of like really then turning on his strategic game and finally getting out Suri, Ozzy, and or Rizzo. So I think you're hard on Jonathan. I think a lot of people, and I don't think that I'm saying this for you, I think a lot of people outside this podcast just don't like Jonathan and they want to kind of just hate on him for multiple reasons. I don't think that's your situation, Ben. And I completely agree and understand with what you're saying. But I do think, in my eyes, that Jonathan is playing a much better game than you're giving him credit for. But I agree completely with what we said before this podcast, is that there's Suri, Ozzy, and Rizzo, and then there's tiers, and then that's like kind of where Jonathan is. I just think Jonathan's on top of that next tier.
Yeah, I just think Jonathan's view of what's going on in the game is completely false and like built upon like a delusion that he's kind of created in his mind. It does not actually gel with what we're seeing in reality.
Which, to be fair, everybody outside of that Rizzo, Ozzy, and Suri
I agree. I agree 100%.
They're entire, like the clear view of this game for them obviously is I
100% agree. I think that like I said, it's Suri, Rizzo, Ozzy, and then it's everyone else. It's just that like of the everyone else, you're making the case for Jonathan, and I'm saying that Jonathan is no different than everyone else. Who
do you, before we can kind of get back to the Suri props I want to give, who would you say outside of that four you think is the best position to win?
I think Aubrey, but I think it's a very, very outside chance. And I've been very vocally hard on Aubrey both pre-season and during the bulk of the season.
She's on your team though, so
she is. Yeah, I mean, so is
too much, right?
So is Jonathan, you know.
So is Jonathan.
Many people do forget Jonathan.
I have 5 out of 10
Many people forget Jonathan is on Ben's team, including myself. So.
I have Jonathan, Tiffany, Aubrey, Rizzo, and
Ozzy, right?
No,
I have you have Ozzy. You might have the winner, Dylan. Joe?
No, I don't have Joe.
You have Joe.
Dylan has I think Joe, Emily, and Ozzy, right? And then you have Brian, you have Suri and Stephanie, and then I have whoever is left. No, I have Devins. I have Rick Devins as well.
Yeah, I'm with my old school girls. That's all I got left.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. I have 5 out of 10 people. Like, you know, given that I think that only 3 people can win the season, like I'm gonna have to be hard on people on my team.
Yeah. Well, I do want to give Joe some credit. I think Joe played this episode really well from where he was before. Mm-hmm. You see him bonding with Suri. There seemed to be Suri, Tiff, and Joe talking about a potential plan to flip on Emily. Well, that didn't come through. Like, it's encouraging for Joe's game that he's being included in these things, whereas like Steph and Jonathan probably wouldn't be as included. And, you know, it's kind of like a perfect thing for Suri to keep her options open. Like, yeah, let me scoop up Tiffany and Joe, who like are kind of tangentially with the others, but probably not as much. And, you know, I'll have options going forward.
So last week we said that kind of back to this was going to lead into this argument too. So with Suri, I think we said that when they got Coach and Chrissy out last week, they then needed to go start taking out the nerd alliance of Emily,
Yes.
Devins, Christian, and we kind of put Aubrey in there. Not really. Aubrey is kind of more of a middle player than they are right now. So I think the fact that she's doing that this week, and then I kind of assume then next week they can then begin the path of. I assume Devins will be up there again. I assume Devins will be the other person we have going into Tribal next week. I assume it's going to be Devins and then probably somebody like Jonathan potentially, because I think Cerise still has Steph to a point. I think Steph is much more easy for Cerise to manipulate than Jonathan to this point, because I think to what you said, Ben, I think if Jonathan has a different perspective of the game than what is going on, then he is going to misplay tragically at some point. Right. If that's his downfall. So I think next week it's most likely going to be a Jonathan Devins kind of situation, maybe Emily. We'll see how far Devins can take that idol. And so I think if she then takes out Jonathan and she still has Tiffany, Aubrey, Joe, Rizzo, and Ozzy, and then we go and take out Emily or Devins next week following that, assuming that we don't have two people going home next week, assuming that the Mr. Beast twist doesn't take somebody out in some sort of fashion.
Right.
I think then it's basically like if Suri, Rizzo, and Ozzy can somehow maintain their numbers there, they just start picking people off one by one. And I think that is so masterfully crafted from last week, taking advantage of getting Chrissy and Coach out, which is why she was so smart to come home to those beach of idiots who wanted Devins and Aubrey out, talk them straight. Mama Suri setting everybody on the right path, like children waiting with like bowls ready for porridge when she's coming around to back home. They were like ready to just eat out of her hands with whatever she said. Rizzy is apparently what I'm calling Suri and Rizzo now. Suri, and it's another reason I'm just so frustrated with these dumb twists. Suri is playing literally, I think, one of the best games we've seen in a very long time in Survivor. And if she's able to cap that off with a win, I think that we can very easily say it's one of the best wins in a very, very long time. My concern is the other people are going to say it's full of twists and ridiculousness, and it's going to kind of dwindle what should be a very, very high profile win for Suri. So we'll see how that plays out. But Suri is just, she continues to amaze me every day. And I told you guys when we did our draft, she was who I viewed as the number one most undraftable player heading into this season. So it is, I am a true Suri believer now.
Which is very funny because I guess like if you talk about drafting from a perspective of winning, I can see that perspective. But like our draft system is based around placement. So like even just like being able to consistently place high, which is why I think during our draft I complimented Brian for being able to snipe Suri so late in the draft, because historically she pretty much always finishes like she finishes like a top 6 except for Heroes with Villains and everything she's ever done.
And she would have finished like very well if she didn't get idled out. She was running that Heroes tribe like hard. Yeah, no, I agree, Ben. I think Jenna Lewis will be so vindicated. I mean, she already is so vindicated. Not to, prop up my first overall pick that went out first. She's so dangerous because you just like Suri. You just want to hang out with Suri. You want to listen to her. Everyone likes her. Like she had a point, and I made this point in the swing vote episode I did earlier today. There was a point where she was going through her relationships with everybody and being like, oh, I have an alliance with this is like everybody. It reminded me of Big Brother 15 when Andy won HOH and everyone was like, wow, I feel really great about Andy being HOH. Like this type of game for me is what these games are all about. Being like socially ingratiated with everybody is so good. I mean, will she be able to get to the final 3? I don't know. Like, I'm holding out hope that Ozzy wins final immunity and brings Suri to the end. But, I mean, if he wants to win, he won't do that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the fundamental, right? This is like the fundamental issue. I do agree, Brian, as well, that like she's playing a very, maybe Big BB25 has rubbed off on her, right? She's playing a very Big Brother-esque game. Like, it's very like classical floater, like bounce between power, ping pong, between
everyone hates on the floater strategy, but it's the most optimal strategy if you can pull it off.
Yeah, it's extremely lethal. Like it's the kind of fundamental reason why like playing the middle is effective is there's just very little incentive for people on either side of a divide to target the middle people over the people who are like further away from them in terms of the alliance structure. And so it kind of just disincentivizes everyone in the game from targeting you, which is like basically what we're seeing with Suri.
Specifically in Modern Survivor 2, I think we've seen, especially when power structures, when power shifts from one player to another each week, we've seen how that just completely, like, that does not really flow with the game. Like, people very rarely dominate beginning to end and win the season, especially when they are like making huge moves, huge flashing moves. Very, very, I don't even know if at all in this modern and new era Survivor has somebody been able to do that and like end up winning at the very end, unless their final move was the big flashing move.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like we just saw a trio in last season do basically what Suri, Rizzo, and Ozzy are doing right now. And I mean, like, it's not actually uncommon for it to happen in the new era. Like, it's also very similar to what the Tika 3 did in 44, like Carson, Carolyn, and Jim Jam. Like, they also, as a trio, played the social middle and bounced two sides against each other and like ping pong between those sides, picking people off one by one. And they made the final 4 together, and like they have the winner on within them. And same with the Trace Leches last season, where they played the middle. They fought two sides against each other and like kind of finagled the social structure in their benefit, and they made the final 4. They had the winner. Like it's like that kind of feels like the arc that we're getting right now with this trio is they're kind of just locked into the final 4, and it's just like one of them probably is going to get cut in 4th, or probably going to get like a 0 vote goat, who I'm right now speculating is going to be Joe. That was a speculation I texted you guys, I think, last week, who's going to be sitting there in the final 3 with 2 of them, and then one of them is going to win. And right now, I unfortunately think that Suri is probably going to be the person to go out in 4th, and I think that Ozzy is probably going to win, and Rizzo is going to be the runner-up. That's my prediction right now.
It's hard to argue with that prediction, Ben. And if it goes through, huge credit to Rizzo for back-to-back really solid games, coming up short. But I think, he has proven himself as a very adept Survivor player, and maybe Rizzo 3.0 can win this game. And you know what? If this happens, a little credit for Joe, because I think he had a bit of a target on his back coming into this season. He certainly had a lot of demons with Kyle and Camilla, but with them gone and with, Colby and Coach gone, the 2 people kind of holding him to the honor and integrity stuff, he's kind of lightened up and been a more interesting character because of it.
I don't know if coming in 3rd place in essentially back-to-back seasons will do great things for his psyche. I don't know.
That is a good point. That is a really good point. How many votes did he get on 48?
He got 1.
Okay.
Oh, I thought he got 0.
I believe he got 1.
Yeah, so not
I
great.
believe it was a 5 to 2 to 1 vote, if I remember correctly.
I thought Eva got 2. I think we already did this.
If I remember correctly, I believe it was 5 to 2 to 1. Eva got 2 because I picked the runner-up back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, you're right. 5-2-1. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. He probably wouldn't be great for him, but you know what? He got hired by Tyler Perry to be an actor, so he's doing fine.
Yeah.
I agree completely with everything that was just said. I think Joe and Tiffany have actually really impressed me these past 2 weeks, kind of finding new life for themselves in the game. People did not like that I was giving Tiffany praise in the TikTok comments
Yeah, that was weird.
last week. That was weird. Obviously, TikTok is a weird place. People accuse people of weird things, but I along the lines basically said I thought Tiffany's game was pretty shit up until the past 2 weeks, and wasn't really sure why she was on this season because what she was giving, and then obviously she started to really kind of win me back last week. She's continuing to do that this week. I think she's starting to make herself a very valuable asset to Suri, and I think her and Joe along the same lines where I don't think that they'll be able to pull it out when winning it and kind of beat with Suri, Rizzo, and Ozzy using the same strategy we just talked about that Suri, Rizzo, and Ozzy are doing. But I think that I honestly can see a final five of Suri, Rizzo, Ozzy, Joe, Tiffany.
Yep.
I think that that's a very, very real possibility.
That's also the final five that I have right now. So, yeah, I think we're on the same page there. I think Tiffany and Joe have impressed me the last 2 weeks for sure.
Yeah, and Joe avenged his loss in this challenge from 48 to David. He got the W. Were you guys surprised Jeff did so bad at this challenge?
No.
I think Jeff is a 60-year-old man, right? I think that I think it's like to be expected. I think that like the whole process of like, what is it? It's like a certain percentage of your weight is put in the bucket. I don't know if that's like the most fair way to do these challenges for a lot of people. And yeah, I think Jeff is a man in his 60s now, and I think it's impressive he was able to, a very fit man in his 60s, obviously, but
hey, Rudy won immunity on the first season of Survivor.
How old is Jeff?
I mean,
so Jeff is 64.
Yeah,
it's just a different challenge. It's not a challenge that he's going to do good at. He did much better than I thought he would. Like he outlasted like 3 or 4 of them, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, they did though correctly pick the top 4, and like Stephanie, who was like the person who was like they were probably would have bandied around. Like if Jeff had forced them to pick a 5th, I think Stephanie probably would have been the 5th they pick, and she came in 5th challenge. So as far as the players, you know, like self-analysis of who would be the best to pick to go against Jeff, they nailed it there. And I think Jeff got closer to you know, winning this side bet than I thought he would. I thought it was going to be pretty much a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is all fun. The stuff with Jeff is great. I think when you really lose us and ruin the fun I think it's safe to say now that in the hands of the fans is like one of the biggest scams Survivor has ever pulled on.
Such a lie.
It very much is not in the hands of the fans. And I think that the cast on that island is a little frustrated by this too, because they know a lot of these were not things that were decided on by the fans a year ago when we were voting on this stuff. So that sucks. I think that's going to be a big conversation at the end of the season. I think it's going to, like I said, I think it's going to ruin a lot of people's perception on this season, which is very unfortunate because there's a lot of very good Survivor being played.
I mean, we knew this at the time, right? Even like when we were like looking at the questions that were asked, like they were essentially like the most bunk push-pull style like questions. It was like, do you want Survivor to have a bunch of twists and be really fun and dynamic and cool? Or are you a fucking loser who hates fun and you want there to be no twists and you want the show to suck?
It really was
like,
pretty
okay,
much
I wonder which one's going to get more votes, you know?
Yeah, it really was worded basically like that.
Yeah. Don't bring us into this, Jeff. You know, it's not like Big Brother where you can live vote on stuff.
Yeah, it's also not like Big Brother where we have access to the live feeds and know what's going on. And like, obviously, you know, the vast majority of Big Brother audience votes are still done by people who don't watch the live feeds, but still.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But, you know, speaking of fun, Dylan, you had fun yesterday, right?
I did. This was a very, very fun week for me, Survivor-wise. So I talked to somebody on Monday. I'll talk about that after this. But yeah, so I went to a watch party in Worcester yesterday, which was hosted by Boston Underground Games. I talked to the owner. I believe the owner and the person who runs it. Their name is Kate. Kate they're basically have been on tour, Boston Underground Games. I know they've been going around a lot in the Boston area. I think they went to like Harpoon. I think they went to Night Shift Brewery, and then I know they had a big tour where they actually went out of state. They went to Austin. I think they had Ethan's on there. I think that was a big guest for them. So I think they've gotten Charlie to join. They've gotten some like pretty cool Survivor guests. So last night I was in Worcester at the Wachusett Brew Yard in Worcester. It was actually my first time being there, even though I've been in this area now for forever. But it was Wachusett Brew Yard's cool. But got there right at 6. I had the VIP pass. They had actual challenges set up that they handmade themselves. We had the snake, where you pull the ball up on the strings. I am very, very proud to say that after a few attempts, I beat it. I won a buff.
Let's go.
It's very cool. And once you get once you kind of get, it definitely takes, you cannot go into the snake cold turkey and just think you're going to do it the first time.
Right.
There's a learning curve. I very much assume there are a lot of like drops and things that we do not see, and like resets that we do not see on TV, because I can't imagine going into this for the first time. I know it's like kind of popular with a lot of players now. They kind of they practice all these challenges before they head into a season. But it was hard, but I eventually I got it. They had the Tower of Tears game too, where you stack the little pole pieces on different levels, and like you got to get them in the right order in order to get to different levels.
Yep.
My wife and I did that. Then they also had the block stacking like tipsy challenge, where you have the rope and you pull the rope and you stack the block. I did that multiple times, dropped a few times. I finally got the word was immunity. I got the full immunity, and I was walking back. And obviously in the game, you have to step up onto the platform in order for it to be, you had to walk back and kind of touch the table. I got all the way back, reached to like touch the table, and I turned too much and pulled it, and all the blocks dropped. But I had a great night. It was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed talking to the Boston Underground Games crew. They have what is called their Jeffs. Their Jeffs are people that are dressed in kind of Jeff uniforms, Jeff Probst uniforms, and they run like each station. Everybody was really, really nice. I actually really enjoyed talking to a lot of people. I think they might have been a little bit disappointed with the turnout. Not as many people as I had assumed, but not as many people I had seen at some of their other events where I know it was like very popular, and I think that they're doing pretty good for themselves. But it was kind of cool because the guest was Denise from China. Got to talk to her, got to talk a little bit of Bruins with Denise, sat right next to her when we watched the episode. That was a lot of fun. Kind of, I asked her how long after she played Survivor did she eat rice. She said it was like at least 5 years. That was all back then. So that was really cool. That was like really the first time I had like a full-blown conversation with a Survivor player before. So that was awesome. So I really enjoyed that. I want to do more of that. But the Boston
Denise is really cool.
Denise was really cool. Really enjoyed talking. Like I said, we talked Bruins, talked Survivor. That we were doing trivia in between commercial breaks, and so Denise and I were helping each other out a little bit. That was a little fun. But it was a really great night. It was kind of more of like an intimate night just because of the amount of people there, but I really enjoyed it. I got to talk to Kate. They were great. Got some fire tokens you can see here.
Oh,
which they transfer over to, if you go to another event for Survivor, you can get these, and they have they're kind of like a shop that you can turn fire tokens in for to get some stuff. I ended up getting, I think, 8 total last night. So I turned 1 in for one of their buffs, which I thought was really cool. I turned 5 in for that to get that. And I thought that was awesome. And I kept that. And then towards the end of the night, Kate came up to me and gave me a hidden immunity idol.
Ooh.
Which typically, I believe they said that they make their own handmade immunity idols, but this one was a special one because it was one that they did not make. And it was an official, let me open it up, Billie Eilish boomerang idol,
Very
which I thought was very cool. We talk about, we hate the twist. I love getting this idol though. So that was really awesome. This is like genuinely something I'm going to cherish. It's just sweet. It has like the parchment. It was just really, really cool. Really, really cool of them to give that to me. And it was a great night. I had a lot of fun. Consider me a Boston Underground Games person. I talked to Kate. I would love to get Kate on the podcast to kind of talk about what they do. They're active outside of the Survivor season too. I believe they do like parties and stuff like that also. And like I said, cool. These challenges, like the snake, like the tipsy blocks, all that, they're all handmade by them, but they are like very legit. So like being able to do that was a lot of fun. And it was just a blast. And I really enjoy watching Survivor with people that enjoy watching Survivor, and like being able to talk to Denise and doing the trivia in between the commercial break and all that. And it was a great night. And I think that there was a little bit of conflict thrown their way with like the venue and some unexpected things happening. And I think that they handled everything really, really well. And it was just, it was a great night. So I definitely plan on going to more of their watch parties. I think their whole crew is very, very nice. And I think hopefully, like I said, we can get Kate on the podcast, kind of talk about everything with Boston Underground Games, Survivor. I think it will be nice for us to be able to kind of make more friends in the community and be able to talk to more people. So shout out that whole team. I will be at an event that they host for 51 for sure. And I think that like if we ever wanted to do something Survivor related, whether it was just like a family party or like party with friends, or like we wanted to throw an event, I think that they would definitely be the first people that I would call. So shout out them. They were awesome. Watch party was great. I had a blast with my brother and my wife. It was like one of my favorite viewing experiences that I've had. Much, much better than the CBS event I went to for 49. It was right. CBS event, it very much felt like a cash grab. Like you were kind of just hauled in there like cattle and moved around, and it was not fun. Last night was the total opposite. Last night was awesome. So Boston Underground Games, I believe it's bostonundergroundgames.com. Look into them. They're awesome. And I think they have a few more watch parties in this area for the rest of the season. A little bit more out towards Boston. So they were fantastic. I hope to be able to talk to Kate. Everybody there, all the Jeffs were great. Very, very cool to talk to. So I really enjoyed it.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's very cool to see how much the Survivor like community has grown. I mean, Ben, for a long time it was just all you would hear is like Survivor, that's still on. And but now like people are getting back into it. People are doing these events, and I wanted to make it to this one. I couldn't make it work. Had some stuff come up, but I will definitely be going to one next year, or if there's another one this season that's fairly close, we'll see. But it's just really cool, and I can't wait to talk to her on the podcast as well. That'll be really fun.
Yeah, I know Brian and I, like, in the 30s especially, we did a lot of watch parties and stuff in the Boston area.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, unfortunately, and then that,
we're both living out there.
Yes.
So that made it easier.
Yeah, it made it easier, and then also there's a lot of fan events that were done in kind of like that 34 to 39 range. And there were always players at those events. You always had, like, Denise was one of the people who would frequently come to a lot of those watch parties. You get like Michelle Fitzgerald, somebody else who was pretty frequently at a lot of those watch parties. It was also very fun. So yeah.
I think a big thing for me is I'm very much like, if I see like a celebrity or someone like that, I'm not one to approach them. I'm not one to ask them for like a picture or an autograph or anything like that. And I think what's really nice about these events too is that I think that these Survivor castmates that are there want to be there, and I think that they enjoy meeting and talking with a lot of these people. And like I said, I even talked non-Survivor things with Denise. We talked Bruins. Bruins are obviously in a playoff game right now as we're speaking. And just stuff like that is very, very cool. And like kind of like in the middle of the episode, being able to ask Denise about certain things about Survivor and like what she went through versus what's going on now. Like I said, it was just really cool. It was a really cool night. And I know like a lot of these things, they can get a lot of people and it kind of can get pretty chaotic. So I really enjoyed kind of the intimacy of last night and the small crew. I know I'm very sure the Underground Games crew wanted more people. I wish they got more people in the Worcester area. Because I'm sure it's no problem getting Survivor fans to go to these events in Boston, but I wish more towards out this area of central Massachusetts that we were able to kind of show up a little bit more. But I think they're going to keep on going, and I think that if they have success out towards Boston, I will definitely be out there next season, like I said. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was a great way to kind of cap off the week for me because I started the week by talking to a who I very much hope is a future guest of the podcast, but he's definitely a friend of the podcast. And that is Benjamin Coach Wade, the Dragon Slayer. I had what was only supposed to be a 10-minute Zoom call with Coach turned into a 22-minute Zoom call with Coach. I had literally one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life with Coach. Very unfortunately, I have not gotten the recording yet. Shout out Brian Wong, who has been waiting to find out my name when he hears the recording. I am here now to say I think I can officially announce my nickname, part of the Dragon Slayer tribe. I think when you finally see the interview, hear the interview, it'll make much more sense how we got there. But when it comes to the Dragon Slayer tribe, I will henceforth be known as the scribe of the Shadowed Library.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
It is lengthy, obviously. It's not exactly Tidewalker or Dragon Slayer, but I am officially the scribe of the Shadowed Library. And I think when you hear the interview, it'll make a little bit more sense. A lot of it goes into I've always loved writing. I've always wanted to make a profession out of writing. And the conversation with Coach genuinely was a very personal conversation. So there will be parts of the interview that I will not show to people. I'll probably show it to you guys, but I think like generally put it in like if we put it in a podcast.
Yeah, we can work like you figure out what you want to edit out.
Yeah, there'll be parts I'm going to remove because Coach himself also got like pretty personal with me talking about his own life. And I was a little surprised by that, but I think it also showed how seriously he's kind of taking this whole Dragon Slayer thing. I did it kind of at first almost as like a little bit of like a gimmick. Like I get to talk to Coach. This is great. You know, I'll get like the parchment for the Dragon Slayer tribe. But based on my conversation, both with the people that are working with the Dragon Slayer tribe and Coach himself, this is very much something that he's taking seriously. And I think he's trying to form like a community of people that he wants to be able to stick with and support with Survivor. And kind of like, I think Coach generally deep down is like actually a very sweet guy. And I think that he's somebody who we've seen is very open and emotional, but overall, I think that he's a fantastic guy. And I think that shows with some of the relationships that he has with his castmates outside of the game, that like Tiffany is going to his shows, his rock shows with Ben. Like Ben very much seems like somebody that would not hang out with people. I think Ben seemed like a very great guy, and I think that he would not hang out with anybody he didn't believe it was somebody that was great. And just my conversation with Coach, like I said, was just generally one of the best conversations I've had in my life. It was just like, it immediately was just, it took off. He asked about my last name. I have an Italian last name. Coach started talking about he dated an Italian woman back in the day. And like, from there, we talked about family. Coach told me a story about his family that like, I think that like right off the bat, he was just very open, and it was just like the conversation really went from there. I could have talked to him honestly for another 2 hours. And I generally felt like I generally felt like he would have talked to me for another 2 hours. You know what I mean? At no point did I feel rushed. And he wasn't even entirely sure what my nickname was going to be. And I honestly thought he was going to say that we need to talk again to get it, which I thought would have been pretty sweet. But I ended up kind of telling an additional story, and I ended up getting the name. And, Scribe of the Shadowed Library, it's a lengthy name, but it's a name I actually love. And so I'm officially the Scribe of the Shadowed Library to the Dragon Slayer tribe. I'm going to do an unboxing video when I get my official documentation, and when I eventually get my recording, I'm going to do all that. But I talked to the Dragon Slayer tribe team after the fact, and they said that they think that Coach would love to come on the podcast, talk Survivor, talk about what he's trying to accomplish with the Dragon Slayer tribe stuff. And obviously, we would love to have him, so that'd be pretty awesome. So I would very much hope that's something that we can do in the future. He's a very busy guy, obviously, still going through kind of the exit press stuff, everything with Survivor. But I think within the next year, if that's something we're able to do, I think that would be a lot of fun. So shout out Coach, shout out Boston Underground Games, shout out Brian Wong, shout out the whole crew. Scott, I know Scott's listening. Scott, it was also very much anticipating hearing what the name is. So yeah, it's been a great week for me over here, honestly. And I think that for the first time, I'm making some like what I hope is some real connections in the Survivor community. And I think that'll only help us and like our fans. And I think that it's been a really fun season for us once again to kind of just double down on how great season 50 has been for this podcast. It's been a blast. So even just outside of the dumb twist and things that I think are kind of ruining the game, it's just been a great season for us. So and we still have some time left. So I'm really enjoying it.
No, I love it. I love that you're getting so into Survivor and the Survivor community now. It's really fun to see because, we were friends before, you got into Survivor. So it's cool to see you get this into the show. You are so big for Ben and I,
Mm-hmm.
You've been you were the number one reason I got into Survivor. You kept telling me, I knew Survivor was your favorite. And I'm like, oh, this guy still watches Survivor. Watches Survivor still.
Pretty common reaction. Yeah.
COVID, I watched Kagiyan on a whim. You told me to throw on token sheens. You said this guy Coach is on there. He's one of the best characters ever in Survivor. I mean, and look at where we are now.
Amazing. Now you're a member of the Dragon Slayer tribe. Like, who would have thought?
And honestly, I don't know. Maybe I'll take up. Maybe I'll become one of the Jeffs too for Underground Games. Honestly, it looked like a lot of fun. It looked like something I would really enjoy. We'll see, but it's cool. Awesome. And I think the Survivor community is very, very welcoming, very fun. I think we talk about kind of how toxic and shitty a lot of the online community is, but I think when you talk to and meet these people really in person, like a lot of these fans are just very normal people that want to enjoy the show and enjoy everything around the show. And it was just so cool talking with Jeffs. Like I was getting all the Jeffs, like they're different, their favorite players. Everybody had a different favorite player who they thought would win this season and all that. And it was just, it was great. Denise is actually going to an Aubrey watch party next week. So,
nice.
So apparently Aubrey's local, which I did not realize.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. Denise, I would love to get on the podcast. I wonder I honestly feel like if we reached out to Denise that she would want to jump on the podcast. I think she was somebody very fun to talk to. I definitely need to finally watch Survivor China. Full disclosure, I have not seen Survivor China. So I didn't disclose that to Denise. But I plan on watching it now, and I think that it's just that's great. It's one of those seasons. It's one of like 2 or 3 seasons that I have left that I like desperately have needed to watch that I haven't. So this might be the push I need to do it. But like I said, it was a great week for me, and I think it's just been such a fun year for our podcast. So I'm just really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think Survivor China is a top 10 season. So the fact that you haven't watched it, I think, is disgraceful.
It feels like a very much of like it's like I feel like a phony, and so I do have to watch it.
Yeah, really fun season, really great characters, like many great characters that many of whom have come back. Great winner, great story, a lot of great location, a lot of great rewards, really cool. So yeah, a lot of good stuff in China.
Yeah, I wanna like you said, Ben, one of my favorite seasons as well. It's just so good. We should do a podcast after you finish and you get your thoughts on it. That'd be a fun thing. Like the rest of the ones that you haven't watched, doing like a 1 episode. Yeah. What were Dylan's thoughts about it?
I'm curious what level of what level of spoilage, I guess, do you have on that season?
Pretty well. So like I know Denise comes in 4th, right? I know that. I believe I know the winner. I'm not going to look into it just in case. But I feel like I'm like 90% sure on the winner. That's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Amanda and James and Courtney from other seasons.
So that,
so,
so obviously I've seen Heroes vs. Villains now about I think 3 times all the way through. So yeah, that, and like obviously that was Amanda, Micronesia, like all that. So I am aware of like the lore of China. I just like I need to get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I actually bought a Fei Long buff when they did that drop of like older buffs. Though still hasn't come yet. Your Heroes versus Villains buff was from that same batch, right, Dylan?
I bought it individually, but China was one of the ones you could buy.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting for it, but I'll wear it when I get it because that was the last one from that season that I didn't have. So it was really nice that they decided to drop that out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, I'm so happy for you, Dylan. That's incredible. Coach is an incredible character. Like I said, I'm glad he's really like a big reason why you got into Survivor. Like him and Tony, I feel like were the 2 guys that you told me earlier that you were like, I love these guys.
Yeah. Like I said, literally going from Cagayan to Tocantins and then kind of working my way back through watching like Philippines, working my way, then getting up to like Second Chance, Blood versus Waters, the 1 and 2, Khao Rong. Like, yeah, that was kind of like my full blown introduction in Survivor. Obviously, I was aware what it was. Everybody around me was watching when season 1 first happened. But yeah, unorthodox way, but I feel like a lot of fans now, not all, but a lot of the newer fans, that's kind of been their path getting into Survivor, was kind of like when it hit Netflix. I think it was Cagayan. I forget what the other season was that was with Cagayan at the moment, but I remember you told me don't watch that until I think
it was Heroes Villains.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was Heroes versus Villains. And yeah, it's been great. It's like it's kind of insane. Like Survivor has changed my life. It's like it's added like a new hobby for me. It's kind of added a great thing for my wife and I to kind of be able to go to these watch parties together, to watch every night together. We talk about it all week. Obviously, we do this podcast. Kind of hope we can manage to keep this podcast just going year round, obviously, of like finding different ways to talk about Survivor and do Survivor things. You guys have new plans for Survivor that you're working on. It's just like, yeah, it's, and I'm very, very happy that it's still as prominent as it is. It's obviously not in the mainstream zeitgeist anymore of shows everybody's watching, but it's like, I think that obviously we're more involved in like our algorithm is going to steer us more towards Survivor, but I feel like people are still talking about Survivor a lot, which is great. And
it's way more now than it was like in the 20s and 30s. It was not that popular, but it's, with the advent of like TikTok and stuff where people can talk about it, and like you got into it through Netflix, I think that helped a lot. And it's, there's also just not a ton of like shows that are doing 24 episodes a year. Like or 26 episodes rather. Like I think that helps a lot too.
There's just so much too. Like there is so much every day. I see new players or new clips from Survivor, people I've never seen before in my life. So there's just like, there is so much to dive into. Like, I feel like I have a great overall knowledge of Survivor, and I've been able to watch, I would say about 90% of the seasons, but there's still like, especially the earlier seasons, I've been very open. The earlier seasons I have not watched as much. Pretty much everything from All Stars all the way through Tocantins. That's my biggest gap of seasons that I have not seen yet. And I think that's kind of the journey. I started my full rewatch going from the very beginning. Obviously I got up to Marquesas and I stopped because like I was watching while working, and kind of my work kind of changed where I couldn't watch anymore. I don't think that my boss is listening, but if you are, Lauren, I still am a hard worker. Brian and
you said
Brian
you're not
Scott.
doing that anymore. So
yeah, I said I'm not doing that anymore. Brian and Scott will tell you that I used to book meeting rooms and watch West Wing. That is only partially true. Sometimes I would not book the meeting rooms. I would just go in. But yeah, so I love watching stuff while I work. It takes my mind off of work, but I'm still working, Lauren. I'm still getting stuff done. But yeah, Survivor, I love it. I'm very happy with everything it's given me to this point, and I think that we have the momentum to take it forward, and we can get more involved in the community. Like this podcast is for sure, it's a hobby for us, right? We're not making any money off of it. Our viewership is very minimal, even though it's gone up a lot during this season, which has been great for us. But although Daryl did not show up in the comments tonight, which is a little disappointing, but I'm sure Daryl has,
Shout out
has their
Daryl.
own stuff going on.
Maybe
Daryl,
NFL draft.
Maybe Daryl is Fernando Mendoza.
Or it could
I
be,
thought you're gonna say Mike Vrabel.
also, you got an NHL and NBA playoffs going on right now.
Yeah.
So, a lot of sports stuff going on. But yeah, no, it's great. I very much am down to do off-season podcasts, whether that be interviews with community members, interviews with players, if we can get them, or Dylan, as you're going through and watching some of these older seasons that you haven't seen, jumping on like a one-off podcast when you finish the season, just to like wrap your thoughts about it. I think all of those would be really fun to do.
No, I think it'd be great, and I think the community part is not something that I've seen a lot of people do, so that can maybe be our little niche, of like, obviously like interviewing players also would be sweet, but like I think highlighting these community members that are really keeping the show alive and popular, like that's cool too.
Like I said, with the Boston Underground games, those the challenge pieces that I played on, those were made handcrafted. Those were made with love. Those are very legit. Everybody
I
there
need to hit them up for stuff that we're cooking up in the background.
So that was my thought process as well. And once again, there are people that love Survivor. We're all watching it together, but like it was such a great experience. And I think that there's so many people like that in this community. And I think that I really hope that Kate and the Boston Underground games team continues to find success.
Me too. And Survivor New York, Ben and I are alumni of that. That has a new season coming out soon. We're going to get Chris on the show to promote that soon. And we're in a good spot with the podcast, and
Yep.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yep. It was never about money for us. If we can find a way to make money with it, great. But this has purely been a hobby that we've been talking into the void pretty much for almost 10 seasons now. And I think now that we have, and I think also too, you talk to so many people that you don't realize still watch Survivor, because like they're not talking about it like at the old water cooler or at family functions and stuff like that. I think the more that you talk about Survivor with people, you realize that people generally still just love this show so much. Even if they maybe don't watch nearly as much as they used to. And I think that's been part of kind of why we've been able to grow our own little community here. So yeah, I love it. I think that, like I said, this has been just the most fun and the best season we've had so far for our own show. And so that's great.
Dylan, may I suggest getting into Big Brother next?
I didn't want to be the one to say it. I was thinking it. I didn't want to be the one to say it.
I think when I finally, have cleared out all seasons of Survivor, and I think maybe
I will say
Survivor's like a great cup of coffee. Big Brother is like 5 monsters.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like an energy drink that like you have strapped into your arm as in an IV for 3 months.
Yeah, it's basically shared group psychosis. It's awesome. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
I will say, like, for you, Dylan, right? You like watching Survivor on the side when you're working. I don't know if that's something that you can continue doing. May I introduce you to the Big Brother live feeds? The greatest background noise you could ever have, because it's just people playing this social strategy game 24/7 live on your screen.
It's so good.
I imagine maybe I can. I think that this summer, my goal this summer is to plow through the remainder of the seasons. I think that's what I said last summer, which is pretty much when I started that like rewatch journey. So I'll see where I get. Well, yeah, Daryl, yes,
Daryl.
Daryl, you missed a lot, Daryl. I don't know if you're just getting
You've
here.
been ranting about nothing that to do with Survivor 50 for the last like 25 minutes. So.
Yes. You've missed a lot though. We've had a lot going on here this week, so please go back and listen. But shout out Daryl. We're concerned. We were thinking that maybe you were Fernando Mendoza in the draft. That could be a possibility. It might still be a possibility. I think the very first thing Fernando Mendoza would do right after getting drafted #1 would run to watch Blindsiders. So that's pretty fun. But glad to see you show up.
I saw a tweet of him making a Lord of the Rings Lego set today. So, I don't think Survivor's too far away from that.
And just Daryl, that is more. That's all we need. So thanks for showing up again, Daryl.
Yeah, no. So playing a killer game, 100%. Playing one of the best games, and I think we said earlier, playing one of the best games we've seen in many years. Yep. and it's going to be extremely disappointing if and when she doesn't win.
I think her win, if she continues to play the way she is, her win would be, I think, the best win since maybe Jeremy Collins' win in second chance, in terms of just like satisfying dominance, like all that. I would be, and I think there's a discussion we had. It's better than that, and then we start going back. It could be an all-time performance. I just hope it's not ruined by the Jimmy Fallon, the Billie Eilish, and the Mr. Beast twists that the production continues to throw at us.
I think if an Aubrey or a Joe or something wins, like, then people are gonna be like, man, this season kind of like, really, it really felt like the somebody random just ended up winning. At this point, I think even if Ozzy or Rizzo end up winning, it's going to be a perfectly fine outcome for me that I think would be, perfectly appropriate given their gameplay, perfectly appropriate given the story that they've told. It's just Suri would obviously be next level.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dylan, obviously you plugged a lot today, but anything else you'd like to plug before we get on out of here?
Wicked Good Show with Brian and I is coming back. It could be coming back this week for all I know, to be 100% honest with you. It could be coming back next week, could be coming back in a month. It is coming back.
Dylan,
and I think we're
just
gonna
lock it in Monday or Tuesday, whichever works better for you. We'll go live. Wicked Good Show.
Tuesday night, Wicked Good Show, assuming Brian and I don't chicken out. It is going to be happening.
I'm in.
It's a freeform show. Daryl, come hang out. Wicked Good Show. Same hour.
And Ben, you're of course welcome to hop on as well, because there's no agenda.
Yeah,
it is as freeform as it gets. We're gonna talk some video games, some movies, but then we're gonna get into the bagel bosses of the world and all that. So,
oh yes.
The first time Dylan and I met was on a very similar kind of show that we did.
Yeah, Better Radio. The namesake of this. Although that got canceled because Liam, my brother, left me for another podcast.
Yep.
Brutal stuff. Haven't watched From yet. It is on the list. I'm very much, looking forward to checking it out. Just finished The Pit at this recommendation of Dylan and Ben. Incredible show. Loved it. Sad that I have to wait now and I can't just keep binging it.
I will save my Pit take discussion for Wicked Good Show, but I think there is a conversation we had. It was one of the better seasons of TV we've had in a very long time.
Yeah, it's really.
I'll leave it at that. We can talk about it.
Cool.
Ben, anything you want to plug or promote?
No, I'm just despite the bumps in the road, I'm still very much enjoying Survivor 50. A lot of the TV shows that I've been watching have wrapped up in the last couple of weeks, unfortunately. So now I have to find something else to watch that isn't besides Survivor, because that's like pretty much all I'm watching.
Yeah.
The Pit included as well, wrapped up last week. So yeah, I'm just I'm really happy. I'm really excited to just watch Shuri Fields just do Shuri Fields things. Speaking of Big Brother, it was a delight. I have many a criticism of Big Brother 25, but watching Suri live on the live feeds play one of these social strategy games and getting to see kind of the machinations in real time was like a delight that BB25 gave me for the first month and a half of that season. That it cannot be understated or replicated. And seeing her play on this with that context now on this season, there are just so many things that she's doing here where I'm like, man, that's exactly what she did in the Big Brother house on this day or whatever. And it's like, it's just so fun. I'm going to be devastated when she that's all I can say. I'm going to be devastated when she inevitably comes in fourth place.
Also, a little bit of a preview for next week. Ben and I did not get to have our discussion about Emily. I think that we can table that and save for next week, because I assume there'll be some more facts, some more context to our one of our arguments heading into our next.
I don't think our position on Emily is very different. I think you just like more vocal.
I do, and I like the overall the bit that Ben and I are just constantly at odds with our takes on Survivor. So I got to keep it going.
That is true. I guess that's fair, because like I think 95% of the time we agree on most things. So we do have to like really accentuate the times where we disagree for content.
It's balance. It's like left, right, center. Brian center. We have the left and the right. So that's us talking. Once again, we're not talking about my grand idea of having a conservative versus liberal season of Survivor. We're just talking about the Survivor board of left, right, center. So next week we'll table that talk about Emily for next week.
Cool. Yes, Ozzy made the Emily flipping joke. It was very funny. Great episode from Ozzy. As for me, let me go through all the things to plug. Dylan brought up, like, we've been shouting into the void. If you want to see me shout into the void endlessly on many different shows, check out our channel, Those Fake Nerds, our channel, Wicked Good Everything, both about video game topics. Check out our Wicked Good Sports channel. Now that the draft is happening in the NFL, I'll have more to talk about there. Of course, This Is Better Radio hosts all of our podcasts, Dylan and I, Tuesday night. Maybe Ben, we'll see. No pressure for that.
I don't think I'm free next, or maybe I have to check if next Tuesday I might not be free.
All right, let us know.
He's a tough get.
Yeah, but that'll be fun. Want to do some streaming video games. Is this game Windrose? I really want to play it. I don't know if you guys are down, but I feel like that'd be a fun game to stream. But other than that, thank you so much for checking this one out. Daryl, thank you so much for coming in, chatting with us, and we will see you in the next one.